So now we are going to do teardrops in this lesson after finishing the ball and the oval in the previous lesson. So teardrops again form the second most important shape in the figure modeling, fondant, and you can use gum paste as well. Now I have here three different sizes of the teardrops, and this is just sitting flat. The actual shape is this one, but then these teardrops have flat portion at the back, okay, but then this teardrop has the flatter portion at the base, so it can be made to sit as well. You can use this teardrop if to make and sit like this if the bottom was flat, okay, but then you can use them in different forms. Now the logic of making a teardrop, so again I'm just going to grab some fondant, so I'm just going to keep them aside. So let me compare them once I have made the teardrop. Again take the ball of fondant and press it well, knead it with pressure, then release the pressure, and then the first thing is you will have a shiny ball, right? Now for making the teardrop, you know, for making the sausage you were using palm on top of the other palm flat, right? Now for making the teardrop, we will be holding it in between our palms and then open up the palm, okay, and using this part which is just straight ahead from the pinky finger of both the palms, put your ball in between that section and just gently move back and forth, okay, and then you're just going to have that side becoming pointy and then you have the flatter side on that end, okay. So now this, depending on what you want to use it for, you can make them in different sizes. Now if this one, if I want it a little more longer, they come in basically handy for the body of the animals that could be sitting. Now depending on whether you're making a stout animal or maybe a tall animal, like maybe making a giraffe, now you know you have to start with a teardrop for the body, but then a stouter teardrop may not be enough for making a giraffe, right? At that time put in more pressure and just elongate the same teardrop with the same logic of having it pointy on one side, narrower on one side, and then flat on the other side, which is the base. Now if you are going to use this to have an animal sit, then gently use, without changing the actual shape, just gently twist, keeping it on the counter, so you have the flat bottom and so the animal can sit, okay. So that will be the teardrop shape. I am going to make smaller teardrops. The smaller teardrop comes in handy for making ears for animals. So teardrop is the basis for making further ears. So I am just taking a very tiny ball of the fondant. So now you could do the pressure kneading like that, or you can use just two of your fingers, okay. Now putting this in between your hands will also do the trick, or if they are small, now you can just use one of your finger and then roll it on one side. You can also do that by placing the ball on your work counter. So you have a smaller teardrop. Now if you have to make the teardrop for the ears, then you flatten up this teardrop, and then further work we are going to make ears as one of the basic shapes in another lesson as well. But for now we just understand how to make a teardrop using a smaller ball. So we have two of the teardrops. Now both these teardrops have pointy side. So now sometimes we have a stout animal which has not so pointy tip like this one. So if you have to make that, you just make the ball with no creases. Again, put it in between your palm, open the top, and then have the teardrop. Now you just need to put it on your work counter and then just have the top blunted out a bit, so you're not going to have a completely pointy top. And this comes in handy when you have to add the face, like a really bigger face on top, and you need this part flat for the face to come and sit. Now that is quite a smaller teardrop. To understand that shape is for a animal's body. So I'm using a bigger ball again. Ball rolled with no creases first step, and then rolling it in between your palms, keeping it open, and then you have a teardrop. And now I'm just going to blunt the top, and that will come in handy like the shape of the animal's body that is sitting. Okay. Now we have 3 different shapes. Now this I could just leave it with a base at the bottom. This anyway I'm just going to leave it with a base at the bottom, and then we will be naming these shapes as S4, S5 and S6. So I'll catch you up in the next lesson making some more basic shapes.